I was sick as a kid, no matter how bad it was, I'd always have my Nintendo to comfort me. But every time I was sick, I'd always play the same game, and no matter how well I was feeling, I'd never play the game outside of being sick. So either it's coincidence or conspiracy that today we're playing Ironsword, Wizards and Warriors 2, until we win. Another infamous game released by Rare, Ironsword is considered to be one of the more difficult games on the NES, usually blaming the game's poor hit detection for its increased difficulty. But is it the hit detection that makes the game difficult? Not really. In fact, the game has great collision and hit detection. Yeah, that's what I said. A game legendary for its poor hit detection actually does have good hit detection. Now, if you come into this game thinking it's an action platformer, you're going to be sorely disappointed because that's the wrong mindset. This game is, in fact, an action RPG. Kind of. The battle system here is more reminiscent of Highlight than Oblivion. If you're not swinging your sword, then you're taking a more defensive posture, so enemies will have a smaller chance of hitting you, and you have a smaller chance of killing them. On the other hand, if you're swinging your sword, you have a larger chance of killing your enemies, or a greater chance of being hit. The problem here is that the ability to kill enemies, other than the bosses, is directly related to a random number, and that makes the game very difficult. You can push the random number in your direction slightly with different weapons, but we'll get to that in a second. First, let's talk about the items you can acquire in this game. Food and ale. All of this replenishes your health slightly, except for the large chickens, which cause you to lose some health. I don't quite understand why these chickens make you lose health. Maybe it was just Rare's way of making a political statement against the use of steroids in poultry. Keys. These are your typical Nintendo keys. One use and they vanish. You can pick them up in levels or buy them at the store. They're used to open the various treasure chests in the game. Cinderin's items. I have no idea what these are used for. For the most part, they just seem to be used to get a high score. Swords. There are 2 swords and an axe in the game. The sword and the axe both increase your attack power, while the diamond sword increases your attack power and range. The iron sword is weaker than the diamond sword, but shoots magic when you attack, making killing enemies much easier. The helmet reduces damage taken from enemies and shots that land on your head. With the diamond helmet, enemies can also hurt themselves by landing on your head. The shield increases your defense, giving you a greater chance of not getting slaughtered by the game's later bosses. The 7 League boots let you run faster and jump further. Getting these at the beginning of the game would have saved us all some important time, but alas, Rare put them in the last stage. Now there are a ton of spells in the game, all of which do something unique or necessary to advance the game. The Windbane, Blightwater, Fire Smite, and Earth Scorch are the elemental spells that will not only let you fire some magic from your sword, but also help you not get killed instantly when you attack the bosses. The Water Spout and Fleetfoot are the only 2 non-elemental spells that you need to acquire in order to beat the game. Water Spout raises you up on a spout of water, and Fleetfoot makes you run faster and jump further, letting you reach a difficult-to-reach area. The other spells are all pretty much useless, save for the Silver Fleece, which makes you invulnerable for a short period of time. Of course, knowing what all of the items are isn't going to help you beat the game, so here are my tips for helping you beat Ironsword. First, don't bother trying to kill everything, otherwise everything is going to kill you. Seriously, just because you hit something with your sword in this game does not mean you're going to kill it or do any damage to it. In fact, you're probably going to end up dead more often than not. Your best strategy is to treat enemies like obstacles that you have to get around, rather than enemies you have to kill. Save that magic. You may think that using your magic powers immediately is a good idea, but you really should hang on to your better spells, like the Fleece, until the end of the game, because that final boss fight is crazy hard. Now this is going to sound silly, but you probably don't want to stop jumping. This game is an action platformer RPG hybrid sort of thing, and oddly enough, you'll be doing a lot of jumping. So if you want to keep on jumping, just hold down the A button and you'll never stop. Always keep in mind that every stage is split into 2 parts. In the first part, you need to find a golden object to give to an Animal King, who will then help you get to the second part of the level. From there, you'll have to find an elemental spell that will let you put up a fight against the level boss. You've only got 9 lives in this game, 3 lives and 3 continues. Once you've used up all your continues, it's game over and back to the beginning with you. Level 1, the mountain and the clouds. Ninja Gaiden's got nothing on these birds. They'll whittle down your health pretty quickly if you're not careful. Try to avoid them while climbing up to the top right portion of the screen. From here you can drop down and, if you're quick enough, fall down and collect the golden egg. Take the golden egg to the upper left portion of the map and an eagle will take you to the clouds. Moving around in the clouds is actually pretty tricky. They bounce you around like a trampoline. I'll admit, it is kind of fun, but the tornadoes, wind elementals, and little demons make this level decidedly less fun. There are two main areas of interest here. In the upper left cavern, how in the world a cave formed inside a cloud is beyond me, you'll find the Windbane spell. This spell will let you shoot wind-killing magic from your sword, but be careful, because each shot takes a little bit of magic. Once you've acquired the Windbane spell, head on over to the upper right cavern. Again, I don't understand the logic here, and you'll face off against the Wind Elemental. Beating this guy is pretty easy once you have the Windbane spell. Your basic strategy is to stand next to him and fire away. He'll eventually go down, and you'll be able to walk away with the first piece of the Ironsword. Level 2, the Rainforest and Underwater. The first part of this level is pretty annoying. Scattered all across this level are plump, fat, juicy-looking chickens that drain your health. Try to avoid the chickens as much as possible while making your way down to the lower left portion of the level. Go to the store and buy a key, then open the chest that's right next to the store. You'll acquire the Water Spout spell. Now this spell has a bug attached to it that I don't quite understand. While you have this spell, if you collect anything, chicken, treasure, magic, gold, anything, the spell will magically disappear, forcing you to buy yet another key and open the chest again. Fortunately, there are a ton of respawning frogs in this level, so you shouldn't run out of gold to buy those keys. Now that you've got the Water Spout spell, you may be wondering just where in the heck to use it. Well, instead of blindly using it to help you get back to the top of the trees, head to the rightmost portion of the map and head up. You may have to traverse to the left a bit in order to keep going up, but you'll eventually reach a point where going up is then virtually impossible. From here, use the Water Spout spell and it'll magically lift you up to the highest portion of the map, where you'll find the Golden Mosquito. Head back down to the bottom of the map and enter this door. Give the Mosquito to the Frog King, and you'll be granted passage to the Water Elemental's domain. The Water Domain is pretty simple. If you immediately head to your right, you'll run into the Water Elemental and die. So head to the left and down the waterfall. You'll end up swimming around some strange underwater crypt and fighting floating underwater zombies, which sounds strangely awesome. Explore the area a bit and you'll find two useful spells, the Silver Fleece and the Blightwater spell. From there, just head up. With the Blightwater spell in hand, now you can take on the Water Elemental. Much like the Air Elemental, just run up to him and hand him a big dosage of kick-ass. Once you beat him, you'll acquire the second piece of the Ironsword. Level 3, the Volcano. This level is pretty fun, especially if you know what you're doing. Generally, the idea here is to head up, but of course you can't do that without facing some nasty monsters and obstacles. You'll know you're going in the right direction when you come across a bunch of craters spitting out lava. This is one of the more annoying points of the game, because you'll come across a bunch of doors which do nothing but drop you down slopes, back to the bottom of the volcano. If you come across one door that doesn't immediately drop you down a slope, but instead places you on a ledge next to one, make note of it because you'll need to come back here. There are two treasure chests in this area. One of them has a better helmet, which you should get, and the other one that has the Fleet Foot spell, which you must get if you want to get out of this level. Once you get the Fleet Foot spell, go back to the door with the ledge. Cast the spell, and fall down the shaft. Keep holding right, and you should fall down to the right side of the shaft instead of the left, which allows you to get the golden crown. Head to the top door of the volcano. You'll find the dragon. He'll take the crown and command you to head to the peak of the volcano. Go there, hold down, and you'll enter the Fire Elemental's domain. The second part of this level kind of sucks. It's a bit of a maze, and if you go too far down, you'll run into the Fire Elemental before you have the Fire Smite spell. And that'll lead to all kinds of you being dead. So, instead of dying, you'll need to open up a bunch of treasure chests to find the Fire Smite spell. Once you've gotten the spell, head down to the lowest portion of the level and you'll face off against the Fire Elemental, who is, once again, surprisingly easy. If you jump down on top of him, you'll bounce like you're on a trampoline. Stick to the lower left portion of the screen, bouncing on the Fire Elemental, and he'll never hit you. Time your attack so your magic will get lobbed into his mouth, and you'll eventually beat him. Move on to collect the third piece of the Ironsword. Level 4, Earth. This one took me a little bit to figure out, and I'm a real dumbass for not getting the right footage for it, so you'll have to excuse me. In order to move on in this level, you'll need the golden tankard, but where is it? Well, when you come across this room, with the floating cave in the middle, climb to the top of the floating cave, move to the right, and fall down. Climb inside the cave, move to the left, and stand on the top left platform. The golden tankard will appear. Grab it and move to the right. If you can. From here, it's straight forward to the next part of the level, the Earth Elemental Cave. There's almost nothing but chests in this level, which gives you treasure so you can buy more keys, and open more chests so you can find more treasure, buy more keys, and open more chests. There are two interesting chests here. One of them gives you a better shield, while the other one, located just a bit away from the store, actually has the Earth Scorch spell, which, if you haven't clued in by now, you'll need to kill the level boss. After you find Earth Scorch, head down and to the left to find the Earth Elemental. This guy is a bit tougher than the Air and Water Elementals, but not by much. All you have to do is hit him in the mouth, which requires you to jump up and fire. Keep at it, and eventually you'll get the final piece of the Ironsword. Level 5, Icefire Mountain. Don't you love the names of these levels? This level is no picnic, and you'll need to be able to jump higher to get anywhere. So your first priority is to get the 7 League Boots. If you don't have any keys left, enter the shop. It's the first door you come across, and buy a key, and, if you can afford it, the diamond shield. Head to the left until you can drop down a hole. Drop down, head to the right, and open the treasure chest. You'll get the 7 League Boots, and instantly the game becomes much more fun, as if a great limitation has been removed from your character. Okay, so now you get to head up, and up, and up. Be careful not to fall down, because you don't want to go through all of this again. Head to the top right portion of the volcano and enter the door. Run through this cave collecting any magic bubbles along the way, and you'll reach the summit of Icefire Mountain. From here, head to the top of the left mountain and you'll face all of the elementals again, only this time in floaty spirit form. Isn't that great? Yeah, in case you haven't guessed it already, you're going to die. A lot. Unlike in their previous form, these guys are damned hard. Thankfully, you don't need to take all of them on at once. Once you provoke them, the elementals will only chase after you one at a time, so you can drop down a level and take them on one-on-one. The battle here gets significantly easier, although it's still pretty difficult. Each boss fires a different pattern, but you should be able to pick up on the firing pattern in time to avoid their shots. Use your Ironsword magic to hit them and take them down one by one. Of course, after you've beaten the air elementals, you'll be privy to one of the worst endings I've ever seen in an NES game. Now, if you'll excuse me, bottoms up. God, this bronchitis is kicking my ass worse than Dragon's Lair.